Critics of a new law say that in Louisiana schools, the line between church and state is getting blurred. The Republican governor just signed a law making Louisiana the first state in the country to require the 10 Commandments be posted in every public school classroom, from kindergarten through...
It's good to be back, folks. It's good to be back in this burgeoning theocracy.
...framed document that's at least 11 by 14 inches and in, quote, large, easily readable font.
Large, easily readable font. Why don't you just stick it in the MAGA font at this point, right? For the subscribers to this channel, I got some good news and I got some bad news. The good news is, hey, I made it home from Greece. I left my people. I saw them. I ate. I got tan. We did other stuff, which I can get into later. And the bad news is, that's why I sound like RFK Jr. right now, because I was literally surrounded by thousands of people every day and even trapped on a plane with them for 12 hours. So I'm sorry I sound like this. To the new people, my voice is usually beautiful. It's like a Scarlett Johansson voice. People love it. So stick around if you like the content. I don't always sound like this. I don't always sound like Tanya Tucker, RFK Jr. Quit talking about your voice. Let's get into the episode. I have to admit, I watched little to no news when I was there. After the jet lag wore off, Loretta was dragging me everywhere. So the only thing I'm caught up on at this point is the Hawk Tuah girl. Before this disaster of a debate we're about to hit in 2 days, we'll go live. I'll be there as long as CNN doesn't take us down. Before we get there, I need to reacclimate myself with, this Christo-Fascist Republican Party. And I think this might be the perfect news story to sink my feet back into this hot tub of shit. Trump is the new Adolf. To watch the party of small government force the government to write their fairy tales on the walls of public schools. To reacclimate myself with the party whose candidate is this guy right here, Donald Trump, right? Now look, some of the subscribers to this channel know I got kicked out of Catholic school after 2nd grade, but I'm pretty sure I remember one of the commandments was thou shalt not covet thy neighbor's wife. Porn stars, I don't know if that counts. Or their cattle and donkeys. So I'm sorry, Laura Trump, but every night you crawl in with this guy right here, you're breaking the donkey, no screwing donkey rule. Off the top of my head, I'm pretty sure one of those is also thou shalt not steal. Thou shalt not steal classified documents. Sell them around, stick them in the shitter of your shitty hotel. Thou shalt have no other gods but me. No false idols. They literally built an idol of him to worship. So maybe we should do a proofreading of these 10 commandments, a little editing before the Republicans want to go, head first into that pool. Louisiana, a state that ranks 47th in education, 47th. And if you're tuning in from Louisiana, there's 50 states, so that might help you out to know where you are on that diagram. A state that ranks 47th in education, a party that cut funding for school lunches. What's more important? Getting a decent meal every day or staring at something that tells you not to bang donkeys? I don't know what's going down. I don't know what's happening in Louisiana. Maybe this is a public service. So I need to listen to them keep talking about this. That's what this episode is about. It's about this. It's about this Congress lady justifying merging the state with her particular form of Christianity. And hopefully that clears all the vacation fog, all that happiness I was feeling. Hopefully it clears it from my brain and gets us ready for this debate.
Joining me now to discuss is one of the co-authors of House Bill 71, Louisiana State Representative Lauren Ventrella. State Representative, thank you so much for being with us to share your perspective. Does the bill specify what kind of penalty teachers like that will face?
There's not any penalty under the law. It's just a requirement that the classrooms should post what we know and believe is the moral fabric, the moral fiber of our country that should be on public display, that the school children should have the opportunity to read and be exposed to.
So I imagine she's using the royal form of we there. Now, look, I don't want to get back into Greece, but for anyone that's been on this channel, subscribe to this channel for longer than a month, you know I believe in the one true God, and that is Zeus. And if this face drawn on my thumb can put her fairy tales on the wall, I feel it's only fair that we include some of Zeus's, because he had some bangers. Like this one right here. The next time I have an urge to smash a city where people dear to you live, don't oppose me, but let me act as I want to. Well, Zeus actually sounded a lot like Israel, but I digress. Hell yeah, Zeus, smash, smash, smash. No. Not you, hot Tua girl. Not you, not yet. But yes, for the record, smash.
Well, what's important about this bill and what's important to remember about this country is that whether we like it or not, Moses is in the Supreme Court of the United States. The 10 Commandments are in the Supreme Court of the United States. Moses is on the law in Congress. This is part and ingrained in our nation. This is a historical document that's important in Louisiana because in Louisiana, we believe in faith, family, and freedom. And that is why I voted in favor of this bill.
Faith, family, and freedom. Jeez, I sound terrible. Am I going to make it through this episode? And just a quick reminder, a quick refresh. Mike Johnson, right? That's the representative from Louisiana. Mike Johnson would not vote on a bill to protect birth control. Jail time for you.
Believe it or not, jail.
Mike Johnson won't even vote on a bill to protect IVF. Eggs. Freedom, family, faith. What the Republicans are saying to you, what they've always been saying to you for my entire lifetime, is my freedom, my family, my faith.
Sure, but you also recognize that the Constitution of this country, its founding document, doesn't include the word God or Jesus or Christianity, and that's for a reason, because the founding fathers founded this country as a secular one. You don't see that?
I bet you CNN pays you a lot of money, and I bet you got a bunch of dollar bills.
What does this have to do with the network that I work for or what I'm getting paid? Don't make this about that. Answer the question. Why did the founding fathers not include God in the Constitution if they wanted this country to be the way that you see it?
Let me finish my statement. And
answer the question and don't make this about me.
In God we trust. Well, make it about me. I got a dollar bill in my wallet. In God we trust is written on that dollar. It is not forcing anybody to believe one viewpoint. It's merely posting a historical reference on the wall for students to read and interpret it if they choose.
It's so innocent. It's so innocent. In God We Trust was added to the dollar bill in 1956. This is a woman that works for the United States. Well, she works for the state government. Don't you think she should have some baseline entry of history for the institution she works for? In God We Trust is not in the Constitution anywhere. In fact, and I feel like we're getting into third grade history here. Louisiana, number 47. One of the major reasons the colonists left England was so they could practice their own religion and not the king's religion. In God We Trust. Literally writing it on the walls. And do you know why it was added in 1956? Do you know why it was put on the dollar bill? It's because the Republican Congress at the time invited Jesus Christ himself to come speak with them. They all gathered around. He gave an impassioned speech. He nailed it. Too soon for that joke? Jesus nailed it. And then they put it on the bill. And the only problem with that is, of course, that never happened. They put it on the dollar bill because at the time, we were in a Cold War with Russia. You know, these guys that the Republicans love now. Russians were godless communists. And to put ourselves in direct contrast of that, they put In God We Trust on the dollar bill in 1956, not 1776. I mean, they wear the damn number on their arm. They post it on their shirts. They put it everywhere. You think just once they could look into what it actually means, what actually happened, who the founding fathers were, what they cared about. But that's too much effort. That's too much effort. God, I am back in America, aren't I?
But fundamentally, you understand that there's a separation between church and state, and that if you're a student at a school, say you're Muslim or Hindu or atheist, having that on the wall, doesn't that endorse a specific set of beliefs?
Absolutely not. It is a historical document. Again,
but there are historical documents. There are historical documents
like Zeus,
that actually this law authorizes to be displayed in classrooms, like the Mayflower Compact, the Declaration of Independence, and others. But this one is specifically religious, and there's a difference there. I mean, that seems pretty clear that there's a difference between a random historical document.
I could see the hamster turning in her head as she tries to follow.
A specific denomination within a religion.
Right? I mean, it's very obvious what he's saying. It's not obvious to the 47th ranked in education state Congress lady, but it's pretty obvious to anyone else.
This is a very valuable document. Look, this nation has gotten out of hand with crime, with the bad negative things that are going on. Why is it so preposterous that we would want our students to have the option to have some good principles instilled in them if they don't hear it at home?
We need the 10 Commandments because of crime. Ooh, ooh. Actually, I make a pretty good ghost voice with this raspy RFK. And if you made this far into the video with this voice, I applaud you. Thank you for being here. Is she talking about this crime right here? Since 1993, violent crime has dropped 60%. 60%. Property crimes. You worried about property crimes? That's free falling. You know, everybody freaks out about San Francisco, right? Look at this. Property victimization per 1,000 households. These are all falling by huge numbers. This is free falling. What crime is she talking about? The crime of Bud Light? The crime of the culture wars? And just this year, the godless communist ice cream eating machine who's old as time itself. Yeah, Joe Biden. Crime is out of control, right? Just this first quarter, violent crimes down 15%. Murders, would you consider murders crime? Down 26%. Rapes down 25%. You know, babies, right? We gotta ban abortion because it's murder. You think these people would be happy that the actual baby who came out, lived for 30 years, is getting murdered less? You think that this stat would matter to them, but not when they're trying to scare you. Not when they're trying to put their Christo-Fascist agenda literally on your kids' walls before feeding them. And because this modern day Republican Party is so scared of everything, they're scared of their own shadows. And they tune into Fox News every night to see what they should be scared of next, you know? They need to take their guns with them into Starbucks. That's how big of pussies these Republicans are. They want a dictator. And this is becoming clear. They want a dictator to tell them everything is going to be all right. Everything is going to be fine. And what will they sacrifice for it? Well, not to bring grease in it again. This isn't the Travel Channel, but I just got back from the birthplace of democracy. And that's what they will sacrifice to be tucked in at night and told everything is okay. And God is watching you from the sky. And look, I didn't want to share any videos of Trump in this video because, you know, I haven't had to listen to him. I haven't had to look at old Dumpy for like 2 weeks, so it's been nice. But just to drive my point home, it doesn't matter anymore how they get there. And Trump knows it.
Christians go to church, but they don't vote that much. Do you know the power you have if you would vote? It wouldn't even be. So you got to get out and vote. Just this time, I don't care. In 4 years, you don't have to vote, okay?
In 4 years, you don't have to vote. Now listen, Christian.
In 4 years, don't vote. I don't care by that time. But we'll have it all straightened out, so it'll be much different.
We will have it all straightened out by that time. It'll be much different. What do you think he has in mind? What do you think Project 2025 has in mind? He's saying it out loud. This is the last time you'll have to vote, Christians, because by then we'll have it figured out. I will be the authoritarian that tucks you in a bed. Which brings me to another dank Zeus quote. Do the kids still say dank? I don't know. There is nothing, this is what Zeus said, the one true God. This should be on the walls of schools. Maybe a school should be named this, like a Fiona Apple album. Just way too long. The one true God Zeus says there is nothing alive more agonized than man of all that breathe and crawl across the earth. I agree, Zeus. That's saying so much more apt than don't screw your donkey. And speaking of which, Louisiana, I know you chose the 10 here, but there's plenty more that you can fill your walls with. There's plenty more commandments. Like this one right here about not eating crawfish or shrimp. What's Louisiana famous for again? Oh yeah, I guess we won't include that one. Pickers and choosers, right? And if you're thinking, I'm using the Old Testament to just try to, dunk on the Louisianans with their own batshittery. Oh yeah, I got news for you.
Your law mandates a specific version of the commandments be posted. Here is one of them. I want to share it with our viewers. It says, quote, "Thou shalt not covet thy neighbor's wife, nor his manservant, nor his maidservant, nor his cattle, nor anything
Old
that
Testament.
is thy neighbor's." I'm wondering why this specific version of the commandments was selected.
So the reason why for that is because it is the most historical reference.
Right.
It is one of the original translations into the English language, and to preserve the actual history of the document, the drafters of the legislation felt that it was very important to maintain that historical context and that language that
The
portrays it in
authenticity.
the best historical light possible.
They felt it necessary to maintain the authenticity of a guy that was 500 years old walking down a mountain with stone tablets. That's why they used the Old Testament. Reacclimate myself with this country. 2,000 years ago, they wanted a way for people to stop eating bad shrimp and dying, right? So they threw it in there. God says not to do it. They wanted a way for the neighbors to stop banging their hot wives. So they said, don't do it. God will get you. Yeah, they wanted people to stop banging their cattle. So they said, you know what? This Moses says don't do that. These commandments were written by men. These commandments were utilized by institutions back in the day as a form of power. And that's what she's trying to circle back to. Power. There were no cops for Karen here to call in, 500 BC. So the cop was God. Don't do it. God will get you. And if I could for a moment, if you'd afford me this with what voice I have left, many of you know I'm from a small hick town. And there was a guy in our community who banged a horse. And that horse happened to be a barrel racer. Now this was a tragedy in two parts. Number one, the horse was assaulted. You saw those crime stats. This was back in the 90s. Don't know if there's any correlation there. But number two, the tragedy is it ruined the horse's life. It ruined his career because he was a barrel racer. But every time they took him out to race around these barrels, he'd always stop and back up to him. Because the guy was standing on a barrel. Never mind. I digress. Let's get back to the commandments.
I don't understand why this is so preposterous and that litigation is being threatened. It doesn't scare us in the state of Louisiana. We say bring it on.
Because if someone has a home in which they choose to believe something different, which is welcome in this country, it's literally why people fled to come here to found this country to begin with, then they should be allowed to. And it's not really an option if you're requiring it to be put up in the wall of a classroom. What do you say to the parents of students or even teachers who don't share your religious views?
She's reading her answer.
Don't look at it.
Don't look at it.
What would you say if your child had to go to a classroom in which the 5 pillars of Islam were required to be on the wall? How would you feel?
Again, this is not about the 5 pillars of Islam. This bill specifically states the 10 Commandments. It is a historical document.
I'm presenting you with a hypothetical that would help you put yourself in the shoes of someone you may not understand and their point of view. How would you feel if you walked into a classroom and something you didn't believe in was required to be on the wall? You can answer that question.
I appreciate you, Chris. I cannot sit here and gather and fathom what you could give me 1,000 hypotheticals.
But he didn't.
But again, this specific bill applies to this specific text. The Quran or Islam, that is a very broad statement. We're specific.
This is the worst part about conversating with Republicans in this day and age. And it comes from the top. It comes from the head. That fish is rotten, right? He asked her a very specific question. He asked a congresswoman a very specific scenario. Relatable. And she just couldn't process it. So what did she do? If I answer this one specific scenario that you've given me, I'll have to answer every single scenario ever that's ever been presented to anyone. It's a lazy response from anyone, but it's downright pathetic from people that are elected. And over the past 30 years, even worse, the last 10 years, I've seen this. It's symptomatic of the people that make up the Republican Party. They're not able to critically think. They're not able to even creatively think. Just take a minute and think of every Republican meme you've seen in the last 10 years. Every Republican comedian in the last years. Every joke they have, right? It's all just how mad can we make somebody? Look, we triggered him. And that's why Republican influencers on YouTube pushes them to the front. It's why they can churn out so much content. Whether it's Fox News, Newsmax, or even down to the Beanie Babies of the world. You don't need to do any research to have a show. They can run 4 hours. They can run 4 hours, and the only thing they have to keep doing is making that audience angry and scared.
Religious scholars don't even agree who wrote the Ten Commandments, where or when they were written. Does that not give you pause in
Moses
any way
wrote him. He's
that
in the
this
Supreme
comes
Court.
from a religious document and not from something that's based in secular agreement or in a doctrine that a group of people have come to accept, something like the Constitution?
Look, religious scholars may not agree, but I'm going to tell you right now, Louisiana in both houses agreed, and we passed this legislation. Look, Louisiana is not California or New York.
Call me
It may
California.
make people uncomfortable in other states, but in this legislature this year, it was a resounding acceptance of this legislation, and that's what's most important.
The most important thing to this legislature is not to release funds to improve the schools. 47. To hire better teachers, to improve the facilities. That is not the most important thing. Her words, the most important thing is that we're getting our beliefs, which, I mean, this guy articulated it perfect. Christianity, there's 1,000 different forms of Christianity because all of them want to be kings. He put it perfect. The most important thing is that we force that on you. Not school lunch. All right, I'm not going to repeat myself, but come on.
What should a teacher tell a kindergartner who asks what adultery is?
I have an idea for this one. Pretty easy. Just show them this picture. There you go. That's adultery, kids. Now you're ready to learn what 2 plus 2 is? 2 plus 2 equals God. But I'm sure the thumb lady has a better idea. So let's check it out.
Well, the teacher should be able to have an appropriate response, which is to tell them, look, guys, this is a historical document that's posted on the wall to remind everyone of good morals, good principles. Thou shalt not kill. Thou shalt not lie. These are important things.
Thou shalt not lie.
I think that in the state of Louisiana, we have echoed a strong voice that we believe that faith is a very important part of history and the founding of this nation. Again, we've got it posted in historical buildings all over the place. I don't understand why this is such a shock factor to the nation that we would somehow do this. I'm proud that in the state of Louisiana, we're leading the charge on this, and I am proud to press the button in favor of that bill.
To the
I guess the argument is that you could teach morals without getting into religion.
We're leading the charge back to 400 BC. I don't know when Moses was alive. Like I said, I got kicked out of Catholic school in 2nd grade. But I don't think that's the definition of leading. She really said, thou shalt not lie, and had zero shame. Zero. I don't know how to say zero in Greek. I only really learned the swear words in Greek and how to say hello. Epharisto. But watching these clips, it does appear that I'm back in this slow-sinking ship. This slow-sinking ship called the United States into the sea of theocratic fascist bullshit. It appears I'm home. And about Greece, if the members of this channel want some tips of the best places we went, the best places we ate, the best places we stayed, the worst places we stayed, the worst trips. I'll give that to the members. But this isn't a travel channel. And I keep saying travel channel, which is totally putting me in an algorithm. So please don't comment if you're here looking for a travel channel. And if you are here and you want advice you made to the end of the video, go to Greece. It's cool. Go to Crete. That's where I'm from. Chania. Loretta did make me sit in the middle once. But I have this problem, and she doesn't like it. She likes it sometimes, but, I talk to everybody. I guess I'm a personable guy. Who would have thunk? Who would have thought? And the guy next to me, this was a mistake talking to him, because he talked about chemtrails for like 10 hours straight. So it's like that time when I was a kid, and I would purposely break the dishes while doing them, so I'd never have to do them again. I don't have to sit in the middle seat anymore. So, was it worth it? I don't know. But you know what I didn't see in Greece? I didn't see people wearing the Greek flag on their shirts. I didn't see people flying it on the back of their cars. I didn't see anyone wearing a hat worshiping a politician, and it was kind of nice. It kind of reminded me of, 10 years ago? Maybe 20 years ago? I saw this Greek flag hanging next to Acropolis. That's a 3,300-year-old, older than that place. That's where they put the Greek flag. And when I considered this in the place that created democracy, a place that created democracy by relieving every man of his debts, no more slavery, making them equal, letting everyone go up to Acropolis, even the common man. When I thought about this, it made me sad because I do love America. And being back here, in 2 days we're going to do the debate. I mean, it is sad, right? It really does drive home the point of just how crazy the people in this country have become. How radical they've become. So to close, Louisiana, I have this to say to you. If you want to hang those 10 commandments anywhere, maybe don't put them in a classroom. Maybe hang those up at Mar-a-Lago. The Chud Report. Thank you everyone for sticking to the end. I'm sorry I sound like this. You guys are troopers. If it's your first time here, you didn't mind the voice. Maybe you minded the voice, but you could see a better future if you subscribe here. Make sure you subscribe. And honestly, if this is the content you like, hit that like button. Because we are in a good algorithm, and I have a feeling, I keep saying it, but I have a feeling we're going to the travel channel algorithm. So hit that like button. Thank you to the members. I gave you guys my Instagram that I don't promote or anything. It's just you guys and friends and family. So thank you to those who followed me, to watch me in Greece, to know I wasn't lying to y'all. And yeah, I guess I'll put up the live. We'll go live on Thursday. I think it's Thursday. I'll schedule it. I'll be here. As long as CNN doesn't take it down. I'm going to go drink some hot tea. You
gotta give him that hot
and get ready.
Of the 10 Commandments in every classroom in public, elementary, secondary, and post-education schools in the state of Louisiana. Because if you want to respect the rule of law, you got to start from the original lawgiver, which was Moses. All right. That's right. He got his commandments from God. All right.